Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to see the solution to the exercise that we saw in the last one, right? Which was basically, we had to do a set of things on this particular web page using JavaScript, and I've copied those things here, right? Yeah. So this is an untitled file, and how I'm going to approach this is that I'm going to make a separate file for JavaScript, and I'm going to write my code in that. And that is basically because if I write my code in the console, then the progress will be lost as soon as I, refresh the page for any reason, or if I visit some other page, right? So I'll make a new file. I'll save it as exercise.js, right? And now I'll start simply, right? So first I want to change the color of apple and pear to green and background to orange. So I've selected apple and pear at once, and hence we have this class of optional in this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a variable named optional, then I'll do document dot query selector all optional. And now what I can do is, if you basically imagine, this optional will now be a node list, right? So you can simply do optional dot style. That's not actually allowed. What you have to do is, in a node list, you have to traverse this. I can do optional dot length. Yeah, you could directly write 2 here because you know the length is 2, but writing something like optional dot length is always better, because that way, if in the future you change your HTML to add your class optional to some other thing too, this will work fine, right? Alright, so now what I need to do is apply these two properties successfully, which is color to green and background to orange. So I can do optional I dot style dot color is equal to, what is that, orange, green, and optional I dot style dot background color is orange. Alright, so now let's just check this much first, and if I refresh my page, it does not work, and the reason is the files are not linked, right? So I'll go here, I'll do a script source exercise.js, and now if this is refreshed, we see the color changes to green and background changes to orange, which is what we wanted. So that's great, right? So now let's get to this next thing. Right. So the next thing is change the color of banana to yellow and background to black, right? So if I go to banana, I see the li ID is peel, right? Now there are a lot of ways in which you could do this. First, if you notice, the banana li is the first li of the page. So if you just simply do query selector on li, it will return the correct li. Or you could make it by id of peel, which is what we are going to do, right? So where banana is equal to document dot, and to get some variety in the code, I'll do get element by id just to show you, and I'll get the id as peel, right? And bear with me with the slow typing, there has been a mishap with the keyboard. So id is peel, right? And I've selected banana, and now all I need to do is banana dot style dot color is yellow, and banana dot style dot background color is black. And if I go here and refresh, this changes to yellow and black. So the second task is accomplished, right? Third is change color of cherry to red and background to green. So I'll simply do var cherry is equal to document dot. Now let me see what I have here. I have cherry, which has an ID of no peel. So again, there are various ways in which you could do this. First is the ID no peel, which we are simply going to use. Second, you could get a list of all allies using query selector all, or get elements by tag name, and then you could select the third one out of that, right? The second index. Yeah, so I'll do document dot query selector hashtag no peel. So now my cherry is selected. What I can do is cherry dot style dot color red and cherry dot style dot background color green. And now if I go and refresh, the color is red and background is green. So that has worked fine too. The next, change lychee link to one of the above four fruits. You can choose the fruit, of course. So I'll change it to apple here. And so first we have to select this A with an href of lychee.com. This is the one we're talking about. So now the various ways with this could be, you could select with the attribute with the query selector, or you could simply do query selector on A and the first tag will be returned, which is what we are going to do, right? So I'll do var lychee link document dot query selector A tag, right? And now I can simply do lychee link dot set attribute href to, let's change this to cherry. So I'll do cherry.com, and we also need to change the text. So lychee link dot text content is equal to, what's that right now? Click me to go to Lychee. So it becomes click me to go to cherry. Alright, so now if I go back here, this has changed to click me to go to cherry, and if I click on this link, this will try to take me to cherry.com, which I guess does not exist. That's why it is loading. But if I inspect this thing, I see the href is cherry.com. Alright, so that has worked too. So the next thing is make the cherry bolded. Yeah, so what the cherry here is, not this one, this is this one, right? This is what we are talking about. So we want to make this bolded, and the thing that we are going to use for that is the inner HTML, right? So we have already selected the cherry here, and we can do cherry dot inner HTML is equal to, and now I'll put a strong tag here, and I'll say cherry. And if we go back and refresh, this has bolded. If you notice the difference, small difference, you will be able to notice it better in your own laptop. So yeah, but this has changed, if you see. And if I inspect it too, this is now in strong, so it's obviously bolded, right? So the next thing we need to do is change background of all links to steel blue, right? So for that, we'll have to use the query selector all, or we are selecting all links. So for variety, I'll use get elements by tag name, right? So var links is equal to document dot get elements by tag name, and the tag name is A, right? And now what I have to do is I have to iterate over this links. So I can do for var I is equal to 0, I is less than links dot length plus I, and I can do links I dot style dot, what did we need to do? Background is steel blue, right? Dot background color steel blue. Alright. So if I go back here, the background has been changed to steel blue, right? So that's fine. On refreshing, of course. So that's done too. So next thing is add border to the elements with class of optional, right? So let's do this, and to do this we are already selecting the optional thing here. So what I'll simply do is optional I dot style dot background border equal to 2 pixels solid black, right? And if we see this quite closely, the border has been added, right? So that's fine. Now the next thing is we want to change banana to almonds, which is basically this li, we want to change this to almonds, right? And how we can do that is we can select the banana, which is already done here, and we can change the text content to be almonds. Simple. And now we see on refreshing this becomes almonds, right? Great. So now the next thing is add a class of optional to almonds, right? So the way you would notice that is that this border would appear. However, the styling for the color and background color we have done here is above the styling of this right here, right? So the background color and color will remain the same due to these two lines, but a border should be added, means the class is added, right? So I'll do banana dot class list dot toggle. I don't need to do toggle here. I need to do simply add, and class is optional. Alright. Optional. Alright. So now if I go here and this refreshes, so of course the border isn't visible on this because that is black. So let's change the border to purple and let's make the border bigger. It's not quite visible. Right. So now we see that this does not work. The border around the almonds does not come here, and that is basically because when we are here, the banana.classlist.add is not actually executed first. That is executed after this, right? So what I can do here is I can move this down. And now if this refreshes, and we need to move this down too, of course. And now if this refreshes, everything for almonds changes too. And now that is because we are changing the property later in the JS code, right? So that's one thing about the JS code, that you don't have to think about specificity that much. And of course, right? So obviously you could do this with the CSS, and the kind of exercise I would have after you have studied events is that this CSS would be added using a style sheet, and then I would ask you to toggle the classes on and off using a button, right? But that's not what we know right now. So just if you are thinking that all of this could be done easily with the CSS except this simple classless thing, then you are right, and the text content thing, then you are right. The styles can be added easily, but this was just to give you a practice of the JavaScript, right, and the DOM model. So if you're able to do this, then you have mastered the select and manipulate procedure, right, and you don't need to worry about that anymore. You will get even better at it as you go along. And if you weren't able to do it, then that's not that big of a problem, because now that you've seen me do it once, then I'm sure you will be able to do it. Still, if you're not, let me know. I'll make some other exercises too, right? Alright, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.